Over the past 30 days, I've been getting trained by one of the best FPV drone pilots in the world. Why? Because I signed up to compete in New Zealand's largest drone race against pilots who have years of experience, stupid fast reflexes, and zero mercy for a rookie like me. Here's the problem though. I was not ready. Before this training, my flying was completely unpredictable. Some laps were lucky, others were absolute disasters, and if I showed up to the race like that, I would be crashing out in seconds. So I had 1 month to completely rebuild my flying style from the ground up. And so that's why in today's video, I'm gonna show you the exact training program that I went through that turned my flying from luck to locked in, the brutal problems that I faced along the way, and yes, I'm including the moments where I wanted to rage quit the entire thing, but also, most importantly, did it actually work on race day? Because if this training didn't hold up under real race pressure, well, then it would all be for nothing. Before we move on though, you need to know who the heck decided to say yes to training me. This guy has won multiple World FPV Drone Race Championships, flies at massive events like the Super Bowl, and owns the company 533. And no, I have no clue why he decided to say yes other than just for being an all-round great guy, but my coach was Evan Turner. So to start us off with a baseline, I jumped on my first weekly Zoom call with Evan and ran through my initial best flying footage.
To start off getting better, there's not one specific thing that you're gonna be able to do that's gonna make you way better, like anything. Yeah. And I know somebody's gonna say, well, just fly tighter or, you know, work on turning this way, and that's not what I'm about. The thing I found that helps people get better the fastest is simple tasks or simple solutions, basically.
Now, without making you sit through an entire Zoom call, here's what those simple tasks were for the first week. The main goal for week 1 was to slow down and just build confidence. That meant that I'd need to reduce my camera angle from 40 degrees down to 30 degrees, switch my focus from trying to get 3 fast laps to flying 10 consecutive laps instead. Needed to make the distance traveled within my laps as short as possible. Alright, we'll do the check-in in a week's time.
I'll see you then.
And with the countdown now on, I knew that I had some work to put in, and my first flight on the NZO track was probably as you would expect for a brand new track. It was awful. It was absolutely terrible. This has seriously been so much more difficult than I thought that it would be. Just my fingers are like, they're genuinely so sore. They're hurting from making these small little finite movements on here. And then on top of that, I just get so frustrated because I'm going so slow and I feel like I'm just not gonna make progress going slow, but I'm trusting the process and we're gonna do this. We're gonna go real slow. So I spent the next couple of days smashing out simulator practice and just really focusing on doing 10 laps with as tight of a pathway as possible. Now, up until this point, I had only been practicing on the simulator. What I hadn't tested out was how much of my real life flying had actually been affected. Okay, so we're on to day number 5 at this point. This is my first real racing session since starting this whole thing. And this will be the DVR that I get to show Evan to actually see how much I improved, if I improved. I definitely am feeling like I have a lot more control today. And I think that's thanks to lowering my camera angle down to the 30 degrees on my actual race quad, as I did in the sim as well. And I am noticing the difference. My laps are way cleaner. They're not necessarily faster, but they are a lot cleaner and more consistent, which is something that I've not been able to nail before. So I've still got another 2 days before we see Evan again. So I'm gonna keep on practicing on the simulator after this, and then just keep on going through that NZO track and keep on trying it. See what Evan says for week number 2. Okay, so it's currently day 11, and I'm just talking with Evan about week 2 today. And look, it's come down to a multitude of things. So basically, we've both got very busy schedules, and we've had to work this through in a slightly different way. So instead of a call this time, we've done a review. So I've sent Evan this footage here, and he's watched through it. He's had a look at the DVR. I then asked Evan if he could let me know what the actionable things are for this week, and he's gotten back to me today, which is fantastic. I need to slightly speed it up this week. We'll be taking the throttle from whereabouts it is now, which is, yeah, probably more or less around this point here, and just bumping it up a tiny amount. See how we go. Gonna give it a try on the sim today, and then we'll see where we're working forward from there. You know, at the start of all of this, I told myself I'd practice every day, but in reality, life got busy and I trained once in 5 days. And then I got on my next call with Evan. So yeah, not ideal.
From what I'm seeing, you've worked a lot on throttle control. You've worked a lot on accuracy in your turns and coordinating your turns. But as you start to improve or try and get faster, what you're gonna need to focus on next is pitch control. I want you to think about that and how you can use pitch to your advantage instead, if you want to lose altitude, instead of just dropping throttle, because I saw the exact same thing in your very first flights when going over that hurdle. You went over the bush and then dropped down, and your pitch stayed locked on, and you would just go up, raise the throttle, and then float, letting gravity do its thing, and then bring you through. But when you watch a fast pilot do a hurdle of any kind, they would keep the throttle the same, maybe reduce it a little bit, but then they would actually look down to let the thrust pull them down and then pull up like that.
Okay, so we're at day number 18 now, and we've got the course set up behind us. We're practicing hurdles, so over here we go under, over this keyhole, and then over there we go back through that little arch. That is my practice of pitching forwards to change my altitude. So I'm gonna really try and focus as much as possible, because it's kind of changing a fundamental way, the way that I fly, to pitch instead of change my throttle and slow down or speed up and that sort of stuff. So it's been an interesting one today, but I'm feeling reasonably confident. We're 2 weeks out from NZO. It's gonna be good. It's going to be good. And you know what? As much as I wish I could say I picked it up immediately, god damn, this was one very hard fundamental to change. It likely comes down to the fact that I first learned FPV through cinematography. I used to film videos on my GoPro, which was hard mounted to my drone, and that likely meant that my old style of flying specifically ensured that I wouldn't be using any pitch to change my altitude, otherwise I'd be actually physically messing up the video shot. So I was literally changing years of muscle memory, and yeah, this didn't work out as smoothly as I had hoped. I'm going to be 100% honest and vulnerable here. I'm so frustrated at just my own expectations. I think this might be the most pissed off that I've been at FPV simulators in a while. It just feels like my competence level is just not there. I've done my half an hour. Yep, I was struggling a lot, and this reflected into the next day as well. I'm not usually one to give up on my training, but about 15 or 20 minutes into my simulator training for the day, I found myself literally rage quitting, and that was me done. Well, done until the next day when I decided to wake up on the right side of the bed. So we've got a hurdle set up today so that we can still keep on practicing using the pitch instead of the throttle. And I have to admit, I have been noticing a massive change in the way that I've been flying just by changing to using pitch instead of throttle control for my altitude side of things. So very interesting. It's also been very frustrating as well. I don't seem to be super consistent on the simulator, but we come out here to the field and I'm way more consistent. So who knows what that's about? NZO is now a week and a half out, actually like a week and 2 days out. So we'll just keep on grinding, keep on practicing, and see where we get. After this, we smashed out another practice day with the quads, and then it was time for my final call with Evan before race day. And this wasn't going to be any normal call either. This last pre-race call was all about the racing mindset.
At the end of the day, your key focus should be on being a good drone racer and not a good drone pilot. It's simple as that. Like the practicing, the improving the drone pilot stuff is what you and I have worked on the past 3 weeks at the field, the months leading up to it. That's you trying to become a better drone pilot. Now, in the week leading up to it, or especially the days leading up to it, you are now focused on being a good drone racer. And especially at the event, you're focused on being a good drone racer. Put simply, the best way to be a good drone racer, perform the best level you can consistently under pressure. Boom. It's easy as that. And as long as you're focused on doing those things, you'll set yourself up for success.
That left me with exactly 7 days before my race event started. So, with a racer's mindset, we set out to fly IRL for another 2 days, skipping day 24 entirely. We are on day 25 now. This is, from what we can tell, the last actual real life race session that we're going to be having before NZO. So we've got the track set up behind us. Pretty much making sure everything's just running well and that we're actually getting some decent lap times. Ideally, let's try and not break a drone today. So it's going to be good, but this is the last session IRL. So we'll see how we go today. And look, surely you would think that for someone who is as committed to this as me, that I'd be doing as much work as possible to be getting as good as possible before race day, right? Well, honestly, I was cooked. I had just spent weeks balancing work, training, and trying to stay sane, and every time I flew, it just felt like I was forcing it. I started to wonder, is this even worth it? Like, what if I put all this work in and I still sucked on race day? All that to say, I did one more day of practice on the simulator and then called it done after that. We're officially now on day 2 of NZO and we are doing the qualifying day today. So I didn't record much yesterday, but today is the day of the actual racing, if you will. I'm feeling good. Are you feeling good, Sam?
I'm feeling good. It's going to be a beautiful day of racing.
A beautiful day of racing today. Yep, we're gonna have a beautiful day of racing. Let's do it. Now, I went into race day feeling confident. I'd just put a month's worth of work into it and I was feeling ready. So I turned the camera on as I sat down on my racing seat, and instantly, as I hit that record button, everything actually changed. I wasn't just racing anymore, I was performing. As I was lined up at the start gate, I just felt this huge pressure to be perfect, and I kept thinking, what if I crash? What if I mess up? What if this whole video has a terrible ending? How can I call myself a pro if I'm just crashing? What is everyone going to think of me? What happens if I fail this whole thing? And the more I tried, the worse I ended up flying. I had messy turns, just missed gates, more crashes. But in the middle of all of this frustration, I remembered the last conversation that I had with Evan. And I was doing everything that he told me not to do. In fact, I was breaking the #1 rule of racing. I wasn't flying for myself anymore. I was flying for a camera, for an audience, for the perfect video. And in doing that, I had completely lost the fun in doing it altogether. So I did something that I never would really think to do, and I just turned the camera off, packed it away, and told myself, go and fly, forget the video, forget the pressure, and just fly. You know what? The difference? It was actually night and day. I went from overthinking every move to just smoothly racing around, and suddenly I was actually having fun again. So for the rest of the day, we have got potentially 3 more races, maybe 6 more races, going to depend on how the day goes, but definitely 3. And I think I'm feeling reasonably crispy going into them. And see how we go. At this stage, I am in the qualifying area of the top 30. I think I'm 27th or 28th right now though, so it's close. But the idea is to try and qualify, get through to the finals tomorrow. And if we can, great. If not, I think I'm kind of coming to terms with the fact that I just am not able to qualify with my current speed and my current ability to fly, which is fine as well. So as long as I go in and I am able to complete the races consistently, I'm happy, genuinely. So that's the plan, that's the aim. We'll see how we go, and we'll report back once we've got the final times for the day. So 3 weeks later, here I am. Did I win the race? No, definitely no. Did I place insanely high? Absolutely not. But did I walk away proud of what I'd accomplished? Yeah, 100%. And honestly, that means more than any actual result to me. At the start of all of this, I was just hoping that I wouldn't be crashing out in seconds, that I'd at least make it through a few laps, and by the end, I wasn't just surviving, I was competing. I didn't need to be perfect, I just needed to show up, push myself to my limits, not above them, and enjoy the process. And if I learned one thing from all of this, it's that the moment you start flying for something other than yourself, you lose. So whatever you're chasing, whether it's FPV drones, sports, just literally anything, know this. You don't need to be perfect, you don't need to impress anyone, you just need to show up, fly your race, and trust yourself. Because the moment you stop trying so hard to be great, that's when you actually start getting better. Now, a massive thank you to Evan for everything that he's taught me. If you want to hear all of the secrets that he shared with me throughout this training, I've got a full breakdown for you right here. I'm sure that I will see you very, very soon.